Hey everyone! If you can't tell what this video is about at this point, it is about doing the Tough Mudder event. Tough Mudder. A group of friends and I signed up and we did it last summer in Berlin Brandenburg. And the reason that I'm just getting around to talking to you guys about it right now is because as soon as the new year started, I started getting emails about signing up for this year's event. And a friend of mine actually went through and filmed almost all of the obstacles that we did in Berlin at the Tough Mudder there. And he gave me the raw video files, and I was going to do something with them at the time, and I never got around to it. But I decided that now is a good time to do something with it. So here we are. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to tell you a little bit about the event, the different types of obstacles that were there, how we kind of went through and did it. And yeah, it'll be fun. Yay! Heads up guys, for those of you who did the Tough Mudder in Berlin, if I'm getting these out of order, I'm sorry. I am trying. It's been a really long time and not all of the footage was in order, so yeah. So we got there, and the race for Berlin Brandenburg is actually held at a motor speedway. They have motorcycle racing, like a big stadium there for it, and then on top of it they also had like a motocross sort of track speedway as well. You kind of get herded into the starting gate area, and the starting gate area, before you even get into it, you have to jump over this wall. And the wall was pretty high. Not afraid of heights or anything, but I'm gonna be completely honest when I say that my upper body strength is not what my lower body strength is. Yeah, can't climb over things like that, or just, you know, yeah, no. Well, the first probably maybe mile / 2-3 kilometers of the race is basically just running normal through the woods. I guess the point is probably to separate people who are a little bit slower at running and people who are a little bit faster, to get them all spread out so that they're not all reaching the first obstacle at the same time, which I completely understand. I think the first real obstacle that we came to was jumping over little trenches, and I don't actually know what this one was called. You can see the video there. And basically you jump, and there's probably like, maybe like 20 or 30 feet of, you know, jumping between these trenches. And it's not bad at all. After that, we ran for a little bit longer, and the first real obstacle that kind of had me concerned at the beginning came up. The Arctic enema. They kind of hype it up a little bit, so I was really nervous about this. Anyway, I was able to do it. I jumped in, and it takes your breath away. You can feel it kind of constricting your chest. And that's not the worst part. The worst part is that you then, once you jump in, have to convince yourself to go under the plank underneath and then come up on the other side. So you do have to actually get fully submerged in this stuff. Unfortunately for us, the guy who had the camera had it on his head. And this is just a heads up to all you people who have GoPro cameras. He had the camera on his head, and he went under, and when he went under, the camera hit the top of the board that was there, and he knocked his camera off his head. And so we had to find it. Luckily for us, we were some of the last people to go through this particular obstacle, and so we went through again, with 4 of us going through at the same time. And then we still didn't find it, so we took a second, kind of warmed up, and then we jumped in again. And so in total, I did the iceberg enema 3 times. 2 of those times, I spent a significant amount of time under the water, feeling around, trying to find the camera. We did find the camera though, which is very exciting because otherwise I wouldn't have any other video to show you besides what I wouldn't have any video to show you at all, probably. I don't know how they work. One of the next obstacles that we came to was called Just the Tip. And basically on this obstacle, there's a wall and there's a board nailed into the top of the wall and there's some water underneath, and you have to crawl across on your fingertips only. And like I think I said before, my upper body strength is terrible. My finger strength is probably even worse. I didn't make it very far. I think we had one guy on our team who made it the entire way across. The rest of us well, we went for a swim. Probably the best part of this race was my probably 10 or 11-year-old self coming out, where I was allowed to like jump in mud puddles and get dirty and just climb over things and do lots of cool things like that. And I think we really took this to heart, because there's not too many times in our lives when we're able to just roll around in the mud because we can. One of the obstacles that I thought was really a disappointment as far as being difficult was balls to the walls, which is basically a 3.5-meter wooden wall with a rope hanging down. And they make it out to be like this really, really tough obstacle. And I don't know, I didn't think it was that hard at all. That being said, there was a gentleman who, just as we were approaching the wall, had fallen off the other side and was being put in a C-collar. So I guess probably not everyone feels the same way about this particular obstacle as I do. Our next obstacle after we ran for a little while was probably the Berlin walls. The Berlin walls are 3-meter high wooden walls that you have to kind of climb over. I think there were 3 of them in our race, and you have to climb over and get to the other side. That's pretty much it. This is one of those events where teamwork, like I said before, is really, really important. I don't know if you remember me saying just a few seconds ago, but the balls to the wall was 3.5 meters. These walls are 3 meters without a rope. So, if you were to really think about it, this one was probably a little bit more difficult. No rope or anything, you just have to like basically make a pyramid and throw your friend over to the other side, which is essentially what happened to me because I went down head first into the giant pile of hay on the opposite side. I guess that's what happens when you have a bunch of boys throwing you over a wall. After that, there was a little bit of a run until we got to our next obstacle. I think that there might have been some like tires and hay bales and stuff to jump over like that, but besides that, it wasn't really anything difficult. It was just run. At some point in all of this, we did the funky monkey, which is basically doing the monkey bars across some water, and the walk the plank, which is basically just jumping off of a high thing into some water. Neither of them were very difficult. I'm not a big fan of heights, and knowing that someone had previously died at doing walk the plank kind of made me a little bit nervous about that, a little hesitant to jump, but I did it, so it was alright. One of the hardest events for me was probably hanging tough, which is similar to the one where you do the monkey bars across, but it's with just rings, and you have to kind of go across like that. My lack of upper body strength really made this one difficult, but there were people on my team who were able to make it across. It wasn't a far drop, it was just water underneath, and so it was alright that I pretty much stunk at this because I was pretty hot at this point, so the water felt really, really good. My favorite event of this entire thing, though, was probably the cage crawl. And that might seem like a really weird thing to be your favorite, but it was something that I thought was going to be pretty bad, and ended up being actually really cool and kind of relaxing. The cage crawl, basically, you go into the water, and then you kind of face upwards, and you have to kind of float underneath of a cage to get to the opposite side. And there are people there obviously waiting to pull the cages off of you, so it's not really like it's dangerous or anything. I really wish this one could have been longer, and I kind of wanted to go back and do it again. Other things that we did that we don't have any footage of, unfortunately, were the Kiss the Mud and the boa constrictor. Both of those were fun, but they really, really tore up my knees. I was wearing shorts, as were most of my teammates. And crawling like that on like mud and rocks and stuff, really, really not a great thing. Another thing that we did probably near the end, I don't really remember, was the net climb. Basically, you climb over a net to the opposite side. Another thing that was probably one of the coolest ones after the cage crawl was Everest. It's basically like a half pipe that you have to run up. It was our second to last event, and we were all pretty tired, so getting enough speed to run up it, getting enough strength to pull yourself up, really kind of difficult. I know that I wouldn't have been able to get up to the top if it hadn't been for the people who had pulled me up once I reached the edges. After that, it was only a little bit more of a run to my most dreaded event of the entire race. The final event. And most of you know what event I'm talking about. That would be electroshock therapy. basically, you run through this giant thing of live electric wires. My friends and I, we all joined hands and we ran through as a group, but I probably got maybe 2 feet in and I got it right in the face, and it knocked me to the ground almost immediately. And I was like, okay, gotta get up, gotta run, gotta go, because, yeah, and then I got it and I made it probably another 4 feet, and I ended up on the ground again because it got me right behind the knee. And it really, really hurt. Then again, I could just be being a wuss. Special thanks especially goes out to my teammates, but also to one teammate in particular who gave me all the raw video files for this video. Shem, you know who you are. He actually has a very successful YouTube channel that I think you should check out. I will post in the link below. Yeah. Also, he did a video on the Tough Mudder set to music where you can see a little bit more probably than what I've shown you. It's pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, that's about it. Okay. I guess I'll see you next time. Yeah. Bye. It was kind of under dramatic ending. Okay.